Welcome, everyone. It is Bible study time. Always excited about coming forward, you guys. Today is absolutely no different. Today I'm going to be reading out of the book of Judges. We're trending through the Old Testament. Last week we spoke to Gideon and we touched upon Deborah and Barak and Jael. And today we're going to speak to the story of Samson. I really have a thought-provoking conversation for you surrounding the story of Samson. But before I get started, I'm going to go ahead and invoke the Spirit of God to assist me, excuse me, in the discernment of God's word, and we will begin. Heavenly Father, I come before you in love, looking for you. I ask that you move freely in this space in however way you choose. Lessen me and magnify you. Bind up all energies in this space that are not conducive to your greatest and your highest good. Replace them with loving and kind and generous and abundant, supportive energies that lend their energy and their attention to whatever you choose to do through me in this space that is beneficial, loving, and good. I love you and I trust you, and in God's name I pray. Amen. All right, y'all. So today we're going to be speaking to the story of Samson. I got a good one for you today. So we will be reading out of the book of Judges, chapter 13. I'm going to be reading from verses 1 through verse 5. We're going to skip through chapter 1 and then I'm going to skip to verse 8 and 9. I'm going to skip to verse 8. Through 10. And then I'm going to skip to verse 16 through 21. Okay. So, and then we're going to end it at verse 25. So we're basically reading chapter 1. Okay. But I'm going to be skipping here and there throughout the chapter. And if you'd like to reference, I will denote what verses I'm speaking to when I get to those verses if I skip. Okay, so let's get the reading going. Chapter 13, verse 1. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. The children are in bondage under the Philistines. They are there 40 years. And there was a certain man of Zorah of the family of the Danites, whose name was Manoah, and his wife was barren and bare not. Samson's father was a Danite. Samson's mother is of Judah. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto the woman and said unto her, Behold, now thou art barren and bearest not, but thou shalt conceive and bear a son. The woman has an experience with a man. She doesn't know he's an angel. He comes upon her and he says that you are barren, but you will bear a son. Now therefore beware, I pray thee, and drink not wine nor strong drink. Eat not any unclean things. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head. For the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb. And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. This man walks up to this woman and tells her that she's barren. Currently, he tells her of her current state of affairs. But then he says that God is going to open her womb and bless her with the son, a mighty son, a Nazarite from the womb. This is a powerful word because nobody else is born this way. And he gives her strict rules as to what she needs to do to keep the flow of power moving in her son's life. And he gives the woman purpose and says, he speaks a word of purpose over this unborn child's life and says he will begin to deliver Israel out of the hands of the Philistines. Then the woman came, we're going to skip to verse 8. Well, we're going to read verse 6. Then the woman came and told her husband, saying, A man of God came unto me, and his conscience was like the conscience of an angel of God, very terrible. But I asked him not whence he was, neither told he me his name. Verse 8. And Manoah entreated the Lord and said, O my Lord, let the man of God which thou didst send come again unto us, and teach us what we shall do unto the child that shall be born. He's taking in this monumental word that his wife has told him, because this was a monumental word. Imagine an angel coming upon you and telling you that you are going to give birth to a child that will save the generation of your people, that will come forth and be a blessing to your house. And God hearkened unto the voice of Manoah, and the angel of God came unto the woman as she sat in the field, but Manoah, her husband, was not with her. The angel comes again. She comes into contact with this man again. Doesn't seem like it's far-fetched. They live in a small community. Isn't this how things happen in life? People come upon you with the word. Could be an old woman, could be somebody at the store asking you how many months pregnant you are, or asking you about your life, and then they say a blessing over you. They speak a powerful blessing over you, but something about what they said, holds significance, and you're like, darn, there's something to that. And then you see them again, and maybe they give you extra information, but they seem just as regular as me and you. They don't have wings. They don't have a halo. They look just like me and you. This is that. And the woman made haste and ran and showed her husband and said unto him, Behold, the man hath appeared unto me that came unto me the other day. And Manoah arose and went after his wife, and came to the man and said unto him, Art thou the man that spaketh unto the woman? And he said, I am. And Manoah said, Now let thy words come to pass. How shall we order the child? And how shall we do unto him? And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Of all that I said unto the woman, let her beware. Be mindful of what I said. Don't let any of it fall to the ground. Do everything I said. She may not eat of anything that cometh of the vine, neither let her drink wine or strong drink, nor eat any unclean thing. All that I commanded her, let her observe. Verse 16, And the angel of the Lord said unto Manoah, Though you detain me, I will not eat of thy bread, and if thou wilt offer a burnt offering, thou must offer it unto the Lord. For Manoah knew not that he was an angel of the Lord. He doesn't know that this man is an angel. I'm telling you, these people are having an experience with another person. They just think he's wise, or he may have a connection to something. But he's just like us. Little do they know, this is an angel of God sent directly to them on purpose by God to deliver a word unto them. And Manoah said unto the angel of the Lord, What is thy name? That when thy sayings come to pass, we may do thee honor. Samson's father is saying, What is your name? So that when these things come to pass and Samson is grown and he becomes great and he delivers Israel out of their bondage from the Philistines, or begins the process of that, we can honor you. And the angel of the Lord said unto him, Why askest thou thus after my name, seeing it is secret? He's saying, I'm not going to tell you my name. Friend, you haven't proven yourself enough for me to give you my name. The word that I'm giving you has nothing to do with you. The word I'm giving you has something to do with the child that is in your wife's womb. Even though it is of your genetic makeup that you produce this child, I came to deliver a message about this child. I did not come for you to be able to access my power in the future for blessings and gifts for yourself. The power of naming. I'm here to tell y'all the power of knowing how to name. Naming puts an X on the spot. It marks you. It allows you to be seen. If I know your name, if I'm able to name you, if I'm able to label you effectively, I learned you. I know you. You cannot hide from me. I've been able to name you. I know your strengths. I know your weaknesses. I might not know every intricate detail of you. I don't need to know that. But I have an overall knowing of you that you're bound to. That I control my interactions with you by. You can't hide aspects of yourself from me if I'm able to name you. I'm able to name those aspects. I'm able to see what you're capable of. I'm able to see what feelings and what energies lead you to do the things you do. I'm able to control you. Naming is the ability to control. Friend, I'm here to tell you, if you are able to name, you have the power to control. Somebody can get this. Somebody. So Manoah took a kid with a meat offering and offered it upon a rock unto the Lord. And the angel did wondrously, and Manoah and his wife looked on. For it came to pass when the flame went up toward heaven from off the altar, that the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. And Manoah and his wife looked on it and fell on their faces to the ground. But the angel of the Lord did no more appear to Manoah and to his wife. Then Manoah knew that he was an angel of the Lord. He knew then. Sign and wonder. We're going to skip to verse 25. And the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan between Zor and Eshtaol. This is Samson. Samson's grown up and he's starting to move in monumental ways through the power of God, through the spoken word that the angel spoke to life over Samson before he was even conceived. This story of Samson, y'all, is a very interesting story. I love this story because I love the spirit of Samson. I'm from California and I've grown up in the burbs. I know what it's like to live in the burbs and I know what it's like to live in the inner city. You know, I come from a family. My mom lived in the inner city. My dad lived in the burbs. And so, I was raised by my dad, so I spent a lot of time in the burbs, but on the weekends, and then when I became older, I went to go live with my mom when I was in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade of high school. Well, actually, 11th, 12th grade of high school, I went to go live with my mom. And, in the inner city, you got a lot of Samson dynamics going on in the inner city. Not that you don't have them in the burbs. They're more obvious in the inner city. That champion spirit is more pervasive and in your face. I have to say, from my experience, you see it more monumentally because just of the life. Just it could be inner city gangs. It could be the way that men go about making names for themselves in their communities, what have you. I've been able to pinpoint this spirit. Samson is born into a family of people that have pre-existing issues. He's born into a tribe, a group of people that are at this point really fallen. The house of Israel is broken up. Many of the people are wandering. They're not honoring the God of Israel. They're worshiping idols. They're doing everything that God told the children not to do, and they are in a transgressive state. Before Samson is born, it's the book of Judges opens up with And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of the Philistines 40 years. So they're in bondage by the time Samson is even conceived. He's born into this way of life. And he's born into the environment and the mindset that is fostered within this particular type of way of life. The Philistines were a group of deviants, if you want to call it that. They were the type of people that came upon you and stole your stuff. These are David's biggest enemies. These are formidable people, y'all. The Philistines had a lot of heart. I'm here to tell you that the Philistines had, outside of the Assyrians, the Philistines had more heart than everybody. You don't want to fool around with the Philistines. They're highly unpredictable. They fight amongst one another. There's no honor amongst them. And what we see in the book of Judges at this point is the Danites, up to this point, have fostered a very close relationship with the Philistines. The Danites would somewhat align to the Philistines in their activities in raiding and ransacking neighboring nations, such as Egypt. And at this point, Israel is in bondage within the Philistine. Judah is within the Philistine area. The Philistines have made a monumental name for themselves through defeating nations. And so they have an area that they call the Philistine region that they that they created. Because the Philistines are a conglomerate. They are a bunch of people from various places that coagulated for wickedness. That's what they were. They were seafaring people that came from distant lands, that very courageous men with one thing in mind: success. However they could get it, they were with it. They didn't find anyone off limits except for the Phoenicians. Only person that the Philistines did not try, and that you don't see any type of history of them negating or coming up against, are the Philistines, really. I mean, surely there were other people, but I'm talking about people of prominence. Nations with a lot of wealth and resources. Everybody could get it, and they did, outside of the Phoenicians. Nonetheless, Samson's father is a Danite. And the Danites, like I said, align very closely to the Philistines. You see, when Israel was granted their promised land and Joshua was breaking up all the lots, it makes a lot of sense now that when it was the tribe of Dan's time to get their allotted land, and they were unhappy with the land that they got because the Philistines inhabited that land. And I can understand why Joshua would give them that land, because there was a previous history between the Philistines and the Danites that no other tribe of the house had. Nobody else aligned as closely to the Philistines as the Danites. So you could justify Joshua allotting this land to the Philistines and not giving it to any other tribe because of the pre-existing relationship that they had. And it wasn't a relationship that the entire tribe of Dan had. You see, the tribe of Dan was a broken tribe. They had somewhat of a civil war going on within their tribe, if you want to call it that. There was a divide within the tribe. There were some that wanted to honor the covenant and the way that God had established the house. And then there were others that did not. They were jaded. They felt left out. They felt neglected. They felt as if nobody supported them. And so they went off and they used their feelings to justify their actions in going against the laws and the commandments of God. And so here we are in the book of Judges, and Samson is born into this. They're all in the Philistine region, and they're behaving as if they're Philistines. They're commingling with the Philistine women, doing what the children of Israel did when they were commingling with the Midianites. They're doing the exact same thing. So the mighty men of the house are still mighty, as I said yesterday in my communications. The blessings of God don't stop because you don't align to God. You still have many of the gifts. They just flow in the wrong direction, or they don't flow with the same amount of abundance and power as they would if you were truly aligned. But you will see a resemblance of them. It's undeniable. You can't deny the blessings of God. You can lower them. You can decline the rate at which they are expressed, but you can't deny them. That's how powerful they are. And you will see this with Israel while they are under bondage within the Philistine region. They will still show remnants of this monumental house. They will still look to honor the integrity of the house. They're just picking things that they're choosing to honor. Instead of laying with the Israelite women, they're choosing the Phoenician women. Because it's a prominent Danite aspect at play here. And Dan has taken on the mantle of the Philistines. They're acting just like the Philistines. They're very untrustworthy. You even though you're my cousin and we're of the same family, you behave as if you have no relation to me. There's no loyalty based on truth. Even if you're my cousin and I don't have a history with you. Say, for instance, you're a cousin that was introduced to me 3 years ago. Or maybe you were introduced to me 20 years ago. And we're in our 50s. I met you when I was 30. But I never had a relationship with you. You weren't my cousin that I saw at all the family get-togethers. I might have saw you once every 8 years or something like that. But you're still my cousin. And the truth of you being my cousin is a bond that should be honored regardless to how long we've spent time together. That truth should legitimize a level of loyalty, but not with the Danites. See, that type of mindset was consistent throughout the other tribes. But the Danites were different. They were the only tribe that did not honor that. They were the type of tribe that even though you're my cousin and we may not have had a long history together, I will plot on you with people that will undermine me. I will treat you like a stranger. Regardless to family ties. It doesn't matter. Regardless of what my mother knew of your family, your father, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, your aunts, your uncles, or my aunts and uncles knew all of them. It's just us that don't know. Regardless to any of that, I will side with complete strangers and plot wickedness against you. These were the Danites, and these were the Philistines. They were the type of people that you go to a get-together in a particular region. It's not in the Philistine region. It's in a neutral region. A region that, many of the tribes will go to. They're all welcome. And the Philistines can come in there too if they behave properly. But they're not ever invited. The only people that would invite the Philistines would be the Danites. So you really don't want to invite the Danites because you know that they're probably going to come with one or two Philistines. And you don't want to be there relaxed with your family, showing levels of comfort, because the Danites and the Philistines are always scheming. They don't come to the party to see the girls. They don't come to the party to relax and talk about life and catch up with people. They come to the party to scope the party out. They're the ones kikiing and hee-heeing and ha-haing, but not too much because they want to listen and hear all the success stories. They want to listen and hear all the business that's going on and what people are up to so that they can go back together amongst one another and scheme and plot on all the people that they came in contact with or seemed worth their time to steal from that were at the party. This is the Danites and this is the Philistines. Even though all the people at the party are the Danites' relatives. They don't discriminate. They don't care. They will allow the Philistines to come and convince them or even support them in plotting on their own people or allowing wickedness to befall their own people. And so Samson is born into this. This is his environment. A mighty man from birth. The only one of the house of Israel that was born anointed from the womb. He had a word spoken over him before he was born. He was in the womb, anointed, protected, ushered into the world of light for a purpose. God allowed Samson to be ushered into the world of light for a purpose. That's how monumental the discrepancy was within this region by way of Israel and the Philistines. And so Samson's parents, again, have come in contact with a regular individual, y'all. This is what the Bible is saying. This angel didn't look like an angel. He didn't glow. He didn't have wings. He didn't speak any particular foreign language. He didn't have flames of fire in his eyes. He looked like a regular guy. Absolutely. He didn't speak profound wisdom from ancient times. He didn't do any of that. He's talking regular stuff. You're going to have you're barren right now. You're going to conceive. Be careful. Don't drink of the vine. Don't drink any alcohol. Refrain from this. Refrain from that. When you give birth to your child, don't cut his hair. Don't let him do this. Don't let him do that. That's all he says. Many of you have had experiences like this in your life. I know I have. Where regular people will come up to me and just say things that I can recall that stood out. There was nothing about them that should have stood out, but they stood out. This is the movement of God in the simple ways, just like this. Simplicity. No signs and wonders. Simplicity. And so Samson is on the scene and he falls in love with what everybody else is doing. Everyone in the community knows what has happened. Samson's father has spoken this to the community. They know that Samson is a Nazarite from the womb. He becomes a judge of Israel. He is ranked with all the hierarchical figures of the house. He's not a lowly character, even though he moves in the low places. Samson is an action-oriented man. He's on the front lines with the troops. He's like David. He's not just going to lead you and tell you, okay, Tobiah, go over to the Philistines' camp and slay 10 Philistines because they burnt Joel's field. He's going to say, we're going to go over here to Tobiah's camp because they burnt Joel's field, and I'm gonna enter in through this gate, and you guys enter. He's leading the pack. He practices what he preaches. Completely action-oriented. Courageous. Samson is the type of person that he does not look like what he is. This was his greatest asset. He didn't look like what he was. You would look at Samson and you would hear of all of the feats and the successes and the battles that Samson had experienced, and they would all be true. Israel would sit amongst one another. The neighboring nations would sit amongst one another at a time before there was TV or newspapers, and it was just word of mouth, a world full of gossipers. And they would just be talking about Samson and all of the activities that Samson did. Because Samson was blatant. He was blatant. He didn't throw a stone and hide your hand. He was the type of person that if you started with him, you wouldn't want to start it because it would never be easy. He was blatant. And this is what made the talk of him so interesting. It's because if he had to go an extra mile, or if he had to go a mile, he was going to go in the most blatant way. Why? Because he knew he didn't come for it. He knew he didn't do anything to incite it. And he knew because of that, he was granted the ability to get after it any kind of way he felt like it. As long as it aligned with the power of God that was within him. That he was his own judge. Ordained down by law. Ordained from the womb. And he stood upright in that. And he held himself in that. Samson would do like all the men of the house. He wouldn't go for the women within his community. He would go for the women of the Philistines community. You see, just like I said yesterday of Esau and how Esau was angry with Jacob, and he was angry with his mother and his father, and he felt betrayed. But he never looked at what he did that led him to that. What got him disqualified was his action. The spirit he used in doing what he did is what disqualified him. And in him not being able to face himself and holding himself accountable, he began blaming everybody else. He became extremely resentful. But isn't that how people are? They will do things and they will have amnesia as to what role they played. The intentions they had in doing what they did. And then what role they played in elongating it. And they'll want to throw it off on everybody else. As if it's everybody else's problem. And they play no role. There's no confession. There's no humility. It's all a front. Because inwardly they haven't done anything to really face themselves. It's always projecting. They're masters at illusion. They're masters at projecting. They don't know how to heal because they've never needed to. This is what would occur with the Danites in a sense. They wouldn't look at themselves. They're all off to themselves. And because they're angry with their brethren, they want to ostracize and cut themselves off from the other 11 as if they're hurting the house. But really what they're doing is they're abandoning their power, and they're being absorbed into something that can never sustain them. They're doing just like Esau. They're absorbing themselves into things that will destroy them. They will mate with houses that will incorporate them and leave no remnant of them. They are not the house that others come into and they maximize and take up more space because they are absorbing more things and they are expanding. No, they are being absorbed into other people's houses, lesser houses that have no reflection of their true house, that cannot protect them. And in doing so, they are being erased. Samson comes up from amongst these. This is why God sent the angel to Samson's family, because it was such a dire situation. Something needed to be done to try to put a stop to it. So Samson comes forward. And he's contending amongst all the mighty men of the house. They all know his story. They all know how he is. Another great man of Israel. He knows it. Samson is not the type of man that goes around broadcasting his successes. How do I know that? After Samson goes and he sees the Philistine woman that he wants to marry. He finds one and he says, I want to marry her. He goes to his parents and he tells them to put it together. I'm going to marry her, put it together. And his family try to convince him to marry someone from Dan or a woman from Judah. And he says, this is the one I want. Put it together. Very headstrong man. And he goes with his father and his mother to visit the woman. But he's off to himself. And a lion comes upon him. Verse 5, chapter 14. Then went Samson down and his father and his mother to Timnath, and came to the vineyards of Timnath, and behold, a young lion roared against him. And the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and he rent him as he would have rent a kid, and had nothing in his hand. But he told not his father or his mother what he had done. This lets you know the type of character he has. This is a monumental thing here. When you look at ancient societies like the Mayans or Aztecs or any Central American indigenous grand society, Egypt, Kush, all points in between, you will see in these burial chambers the things that these people held dear in their lives, the things that they thought held power and that symbolized success and prowess amongst very strong leaders, men. And one thing that is very, very common and synonymous with strong leadership and strength in general are these cats. Whether lion, cheetah, leopard, these big cats. They were the standard. When you look at Mesopotamia and Sumerian iconography, Egypt, all over, all you see are these cats. Whether men wrangling them or men holding them, they're always in a strong position. The cats are always in a strong position, or even in their weak position, they're depicted as being strong, but being subdued. Cats are synonymous with power, strength, and spiritual authority. Synonymous. So when Samson goes to visit Delilah, and he's off to himself, and he subdues a lion, a young one, in his prime. A lion in his prime strength comes to attack. And through the Spirit of God, when the Spirit of God rose up in Samson, he was able to destroy the lion with no weapon. This is power. You see, nowadays we don't realize how much this matters because none of us have seen a lion outside of going to the zoo, if we've seen it there or on TV. You don't know how heavy it is. You don't know its attributes. You don't know how it moves. You don't know how it attacks. You can imagine, but you don't know. You don't know how strong and how sharp his nails are. You don't know. Samson, the man that you would not be able to distinguish his strength by looking at him, overcomes this lion with his bare hands. If you were to speak of Samson, all the neighboring nations, when they're speaking of Samson, are envisioning Samson as something that he's not. If you didn't know Samson and you hadn't met him or seen him, and you heard his story and all of his triumphs and all of his battles, win or lose, you would think Samson was this mighty, strong warrior guy. I know I did. But friend, Samson was skinny. Samson was not big. This was the discrepancy. This is why the Philistines in later chapters would get Delilah to find out where his strength lied. They couldn't understand it. How was this man being so successful in dealing with all of this stuff that's coming at him? He's smaller than us. We've got warriors, skilled warriors that can't experience the levels of success that Samson experienced. This is what behooves them. How is he doing it? And why is he carrying himself in such a manner? I'm sure there was a thought amongst the people that, all these rumors of Samson have to be lies. This is why people kept testing him. They're thinking they're just rumors. Oh no, Samson, there's something else going on here. This is him. Okay, I'm going to try him. I'm going to poke the bear. Let's see what he does with me. This is why throughout the Bible you see instance after instance after instance of these people poking at Samson. He's been dealing with this his whole life. His whole life. I just read to you in chapter 13. After the angel tells Samson's parents and gives them direction as to how to rear Samson up. It shows that Samson grew and God would bless him. And in verse 25 it says, and the Spirit of the Lord began to move him at times in the camp of Dan between Zorah and Eshtaol. It is the Spirit of God that will give Samson his power. People will be looking for it in physicality and they will not find it. But Samson would have it in him. He would know it. He would know it because he would go through life utilizing it, and he would see success, and then I'm sure there was some failure, but he will be able to trace where the failure came, and he will be able to strengthen that aspect of himself so that he could have success later. And he would go through all of these experiences, and they would build an inner resolve within him, an inner knowing, so that he didn't need to be outwardly strong. He didn't need to go to the gym and do 1,000 push-ups and drink protein and shakes and get his weight up. His weight was up internally. He's a giant. A warrior is not enough word. You don't want it from Samson, friend. Leave Samson alone. Because once he gets started, friend, he's not going to let it go. This was Samson. And he did not flash it. In fact, he loved being unassuming. He slays the lion, something that men wear chains of. I brought up indigenous nations because these nations, these mighty men, even the Sumerians and the Mesopotamians and all of them have it written in stone, them shooting darts at these lions and them wrangling these lions. And many of the ancient societies, the priests and the shamans and the mighty warriors were draped in necklaces of lion teeth. You know how the guys wear all the chains nowadays? They had chains and chains of lion teeth, symbolizing how many lions they wrangled with their hands. Virility. And Samson wrangles it by himself, unalives it, and it's nothing. He doesn't say a word. The only reason it comes up is because he's going to be married to this woman. And she's a Philistine. And the Philistines, they have this huge gathering and all the Philistines come. And he's an Israelite surrounded by the Philistines. Danite, half Judah, surrounded by the Philistines. And none of his friends come. He doesn't have any friends. Doesn't seem right. Verse 10 of chapter 14. So his father went down unto the woman, and Samson made there a feast, for so used the young man to do. And it came to pass when they saw him that they brought 30 companions to be with him. They're bringing friends for Samson. Samson didn't bring any friends. He's a loner. He don't have any friends like that. He don't roll like that. The Bible is conveying a picture of who Samson is. Samson's support system is not outside of himself. Samson is grounded in all that is within him. He doesn't need to parade materialism. He doesn't need to parade the fact that he's strong and mighty. He doesn't need to parade the fact that God is blessing him and that he has the blessings of God over him. He lets it all rest within him. And he goes about life quietly in an unassuming manner. And he lets all those that he interacts with that choose to try him figure it out. All of them will figure it out. They will all, every single one of them that try him, create paths for themselves that will do nothing but curse them. Where's the lie? Samson's problem is he's born into the house at a time where the house is in a decline state. He's born into one of the most broken tribes of the house, Dan. He's surrounded by scandalous people. So that if the Spirit of God were to move, it would be limited in its movement. This is why God had to have Samson conceived in the manner he was conceived. He needed the anointing from the womb because of the thicket he was in. The thicket of Philistine influence, Danite influence, and all of it pervading amongst one another. And he's desiring the Philistine women because it is the popular thing to do amongst the house. All of the elite men, all of the warrior men, all of them, they all had these types of women. I spoke to this yesterday. And the women are not vested in the success of the men. They're vested in the loyalty they have to the Philistine nation because of the temperament of the Philistines. The Philistines were the type of people that will come upon you and take your stuff. This is the foundation of who they are. This is how they were formed as a unit. This is the spirit of these people. So when you mate with them, the women were raised in this environment where they know how scandalous it is. The Philistines were afraid of one another. There was no trust in the house. They're all afraid of one another. They don't put anything past one another. So when Samson's wife marries Samson, and Samson goes amongst them, and he knows that he's blessed, and he knows that he's courageous, and he knows that he can overcome whatever they throw at him. He doesn't shy away from them. He's learned from the time that he was young, he don't need to shy away from any circles. I'm going to hop off into this circle. I'm going to see how God shows me around. This is what he's been used to doing all along. This is how you get your weight up in courage at times when you're young. Many people know this. You're not timid to go into environments. Samson, he goes into this environment, into their den. He marries their people. He has no support because His own house now has become just like this. They're all mirroring that thing, that same mindset. There is no honor amongst one another. You can't trust your own brethren. Scandalous. And he tries to befriend them. They bring 30 companions to try to up the head count for Samson's wedding, so it looks like it's exciting and it's fun. Because Samson didn't invite nobody. So now he's at the wedding with his wife's family, and then the Philistines that his wife knows invites 30 people to act as friends to Samson. And Samson's trying to be friendly. He says, I'm going to give you a riddle. If you can answer the riddle, I'll give you 30 change of clothes and I'll give you 30 sheets. He knows they're not going to be able to answer the riddle. And he gives them the riddle, and it has to do with the lion. But then, because the Philistines are so underhanded, they're scandalous. They do what they do. They go to the wife, and they say, you better get Samson to tell us the answer to that riddle. Do you think we got money to pay him? We don't. And if you don't answer, give us the riddle, we're going to do something terrible to you. And it came to pass on the 7th day that they said unto Samson's wife, entice thy husband, that he may declare to us the riddle, lest we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Scandalous. They should never have entered into the contest, but because they want to show themselves as big boys amongst Samson, they go for it. Ego. And they can't come to the answer of it. They can't get Samson drunk and he tell them the answer. He don't drink. He didn't fall for the regular tricks that everybody else fell for because he's disciplined. He's not an outward person that depends on guidance from other people. You can't manipulate him. He leans solely on his knowing. And it never leads him wrong. But now that he's incorporating this person, first time in his life, I'm going to bring her in. God will send you signs, and it's up to you to see it. It will be in the simple things. It's usually in the small, insignificant stuff at first. Stuff like this. This wasn't insignificant, but it was smaller than what it would build to. Samson would get manipulated by his wife. Samson's a mighty man. He knows how to contend against men. He's a loner. He knows how to suffice on his own. But as soon as he brings somebody else in, he doesn't have a lot of experience in that. He doesn't know how far to let the guard down. He doesn't know what to overlook really and what not. Those levels of experience he hasn't built up. That trial and error period that everybody needs. He ain't had it. And he tells her. And she tells him. And as soon as he finds out that they know the riddle, he knows exactly where to pinpoint where it came from. Because he knows who he told it to. Because he does not tell his business. And, it creates an anger in Samson. He feels cheated. He feels betrayed. And because of that, he retaliates. And he overdoes it. He's blatant. He ties foxes together. He burns the people's fields down. He's saying, don't play with me. 300 foxes. And uses ingenuity to get them to run like the wind and burn all of their fields down. And then the Philistines said, who have done this? And they answered, Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite. And what did they do? They ended up doing unto her what they had threatened to do to her from the beginning. They burnt her and her father with fire. And Samson will retaliate, and there will be this ongoing battle between Samson and the Philistines because of this. And the Philistines will want Samson to tap out, and Samson will say, I need you to tap out. You started it. You're mad because you don't like my response. Or you're mad because you didn't get the response you wanted from me. The Philistine that's your people. I mean, she was nice and everything, but we just had a ceremony, friend. I mean, I came back to get her and she wasn't there. She married somebody else. So I guess you could say it's love lost, but really is it? It's at this point, it's a learning curve. So if you were trying to hurt me with that, I'm not going to be able to get that to you. I feel bad, but that's y'all people. And it would be this ongoing saga and like I said, all of it would spearhead from the fact that they would not understand from whence he got his power. When you looked at Samson, you did not see a mighty man of valor, friend. You saw a small, skinny guy with a lot of hair. He was not a warrior-looking individual. He didn't look like he was. And he has no one that he can trust because he's raised in an environment of severe distrust. No loyalty. Family is just a name. There is no real family structure in place. I mean, surely his parents were trustworthy, but that's it. The Danites, the Philistines, highly untrustworthy. They will scam you. Literally, they will friend. They scam you. And then act like you should have known better. Samson goes from woman to woman. He's, not long-term relationships. He's just laying with women to fill a need. Because he can't trust anybody. Everybody's so curious as to the blessing of God over his life that is fueling this tirade of experiences in his life. Everybody's up for the challenge to see if they could be the one to take him down. All of them are Philistines. It would be people in the Philistine community that would get wind of what Samson did out of defense to what they were attacking him, the way that they attacked him, and they would act like they were a concerned community. These people were not a concerned community. These people were marauders, pirates. Surely they moved as a unit when it was wartime. But at this point, this situation that Samson has with the Philistines turned into an obsession because they could not understand how he was able to do it. They looking at him, he did not look like what he was. So they're saying, is this a man or is this a myth? Did Tobias tell the truth when he said that Samson came and did all of these monumental things and defeated him? Or was he putting extras on it? Let me try Samson. No, let me try Samson. Oh, I heard Samson's over here with this Tishbite woman. Let me try to set him up. Oh, I heard Samson's over here. Let me try to set him. Everybody wants to make a name for themselves in overtaking Samson because of the blessing of God that was on him. That's what it turned to. And because of that, he learned his lesson the first time with the Tishbite woman. I can't trust. I'm not going to let this change me. I'm not going to become bitter and destructive, but I'm surely going to become wiser. The Spirit of God in me is going to counsel me and show me the error in my ways, and I'm definitely going to pay attention to it, and I will be made the wiser because of it. And it will limit his interaction, and he will get to a point where he would find Delilah. Scripture picks up chapter 16. Right after Samson goes to Gaza and he sees this harlot. He's laying down with hoes. I'm sorry, but that's just what he's doing. He's laying with the hoes. They're fun. There's no commitment. There's no real expectation. He can have his sword on the side. They know they don't have a lifestyle where you have to hide that. He gets his needs met and he's out. Yet when he leaves there, they're plotting at the gate, waiting on him to leave the city. Everywhere he goes, somebody's plotting. Everywhere he goes, somebody is plotting. And he said, what are they trying today? He leaves the city, and verse 3 says, and Samson lay till midnight, and arose at midnight, and took the doors of the gate of the city, and the 2 posts, and went away with them, bar and all, and put them upon his shoulders, and carried them up to the top of a hill that is before Hebron. We already spoke to the gates. This could be metaphoric as well as literal. Samson is dominating environments just by presence. He's dictating movements of leaders indirectly. He is managing the activities daily, the daily activities of all kinds of people. The Philistines would set up systems just to watch Samson. Where is he? Oh, he's in Hebron. Oh, he's in Gaza. Oh, he's with such and such. They will get all of these women, I'm sure, to come at Samson. Look at Delilah. Whole industries, micro industries built up for Samson. Why? Because of the blessing of God, friend. Won't he do it? Friend, the blessings of God are yes and amen. The blessings of God are industry creators. Even if it's to undermine it. This is the majesty of the blessing. Who creates whole industries to watch what a regular guy is doing? You don't hear of Samson doing anything monumental. He wasn't grouping Israel together and saying, come together, I'm going to judge you today. We got to do something about these Philistines. You never hear that. Samson don't even fool with nobody. He gets married to a woman, and the only people he had at the wedding that he invited were his two parents. Friend. Samson, friend. Yet he's bold and blatant. He goes and sets the fields on fire by itself in their own territory. Friend. A skinny man. He leaves a whore's house at night before midnight. And because they're plotting on him at the exit, they fall asleep waiting on Samson. They think he's going to be there all night. He says, I'm out at midnight. And he takes the time. He takes the time to take down the doors of the gate of the city. And it's two posts. And went away with them, bar and all. Put them on his shoulders and carry them on the top of a mountain. He is blatant. He said, Samson is saying, I don't give a damn. I don't care. Oh, you want to wait for me at the gate? You won't have a gate. How about that? I'll take this gate, put it on my back. Samson is showing that through the power of God, all things are possible. One skinny man. Then the next verse. And it came to pass afterward that he loved a woman in the valley of Sorek, whose name was Delilah. Samson said, I love D. Now D, Delilah probably smelled like frankincense and jasmine. I bet you she did. I bet you every time Samson came over there, she was all dolled up. She was oiled up. Every time you saw it on the movie, she was laying up with some fruit, wasn't she? Laying there playing with Samson's hair with some fruit, feeding him grapes. And the lords of the Philistines came up to her and said to her, entice him, and see wherein his great strength lieth, and by what means we may prevail against him, that we may bind him to afflict him. And we will give thee every one of us 1,100 pieces of silver. That's the part. The Bible doesn't say how many of the lords of the Philistines that came up to her were. But these lords of the Philistines were intermingled with the Danites. It will be the Danites and the Philistines that will betray Samson, his own house. Goes back to what I was talking about yesterday. The Danites and the Philistines together would look to sabotage Samson by way of this woman. They will put this foreign woman that has nothing to do with Samson's legacy right in this path. And through lesser magic, illusion, vocal tone, rhythm, vibration, and all points in between, she would dismantle him. She will use her weaponry to break him down. Literally. It will take her some time, but through dedication and consistency, she will do it. Every time she would come upon Samson, she would want to know the same thing. Tell me, I pray thee, wherein thy great strength lieth, and wherewith thou mightest be bound to afflict thee. Friend, your enemy will tell you exactly what you want to know. It's for you to pay attention. It is for you to pay attention to that. Delilah was not hiding the fact that she was Samson's enemy. He thought it was cat and mouse. Samson had the ability to walk away from Delilah at any moment. But because of illusion, because of the spell, because of the lesser magical systems, the tide was pulling him in, whereas the truth was pulling him out. The truth of what she was doing was in his face, and he knew it. And you can see in scripture that he's playing this cat and mouse game with her. He's leading her astray. If he knows to give her the wrong answer, then he knows that there's a signal within him that's saying that she is a threat. But because he felt as if his knowing was so great, his knowing overranked the tide, the spell that was pulling him to her. But her continuously working on him with it lessened his defense to it. And he would have began justifying telling her the truth. He will fall for the spell eventually over time that said, just tell me. I ain't gonna do nothing about it. I just want to know. Whereas before, he would tell himself, I'm not going to ever tell her. No way. But through time, he would justify telling her. What if I told her? What's she gonna do? She loves me. She loves me. We go together. And this is what I was saying to you yesterday. It's hard to fight that when you are not aware of its methods. Because its methods are not wrapped up in the physicality. If you look at it from a physical perspective, you won't see the threat. The threat is not wrapped up in the physical. It will alert you. The outward projection, the fact that she asked will alert you. But she will do things to layer on top of it. Things that will lessen your alert to it. And that's what Delilah will do. Samson will be her work. She wanted that 1,100 shekels of silver per person. One person was life-changing. More than one, I need that. I run me that. That's a Delilah. I need that money. Samson was a job. And her job was to convince Samson that he wasn't a job. That he was a commitment. But he was no more than a job. He was no more than a stepping stool to something greater for her. Yet had Samson been raised in the right environment, had Samson had the proper resources, he could have navigated it. But a lifetime of flying. He's sleepy. He wants to land the plane. He got it on autopilot, but dang, I'm tired of flying. I want to land. And when I land, I want to really stay grounded. I don't want to have to land, hop out, spend an hour or two, and then get back in the plane. But because the blessing was so dominant on him, and his calling was so monumental, it drove him into avenues that many would not experience. He would play dominant roles in environments that would somewhat ostracize him from everything. And in doing so, there really was nowhere for him to land. And Delilah comes in and he says, well, you know what? If I land with anybody, I'll land with her. I got to take a chance with somebody. And in my opinion, this is why God sent the angel to Samson's mother to convey to her that, for lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto God from the womb. And he shall begin to deliver Israel out of the hand of the Philistines. The angel never said that Samson would deliver Israel. The angel said that Samson would be the beginning. He will be the opening of the womb for those that would. And in him doing such things, he will play his position. Samson will be overtaken by the Philistines, but he will do monumental things in overcoming even then. All because his decision to trust the wrong people. All because he trusted the wrong people. The enemies of your life and those that look to do you harm will show you who they are. And when they do, it's your job to believe them. It's not your job to justify your feelings, because your feelings will lie. The lesser magical systems are all created to manipulate your feelings. They're there to manipulate you into feeling a certain way and moving in a certain direction based upon the feeling that they're invoking upon you. This is very major. It's for you to get that. All of the magical systems are to lead you through feeling. Oh, I don't feel like doing that today. Don't you know that there's people out here that can send you spirits and energies to make you tired? Lazy. You be so tired, you're like, dang. And if you don't know the technique to snap out of that, you will be at the mercy of that. There are masters at projection. There are people out here that'll send energies to have you sad and confused and all kinds of things. What I'm telling you are things that are fundamental. They are easy peasy. ABCs to the system. Samson would get caught in his feelings because he would be more than likely being manipulated. His feelings, his perception of what looked like reality is being jaded. Yet he doesn't know. So he trusts wrong. Because he's being manipulated in a way that he's not adjusted to. He doesn't have enough experience in that environment. He has experience with dealing with temporary women. Okay, I'm coming over there. I'll be over there. Hang out with him a couple of hours. Give him a couple of dollars. I'm out. He's got that. It's the long-term stuff. The stuff that makes him want to land his plane and hop out and make a permanent residence with, where it gets thick. We see this in Samson's life with the wife and then with Delilah. Yet if the enemy can jade these people, which he does, plant them, program them to do certain things, and then give them the tools to do it. They can change whatever perception you have of them. But there will be something in you that will say, yeah. And if you stick with it long enough, you'll justify it. Because that's the method of operation. That's the system. That's the game. This is my word for you today. Yeah. All right. Have a wonderful day, you guys.